So, Jerry. So, Jerry, first let me introduce myself. I'm Vince. I'm what you may call a up-and-coming filmmaker.
Where did you go to film school?
USC,
Are you struggling with making your films?
a little bit. I just moved back with my parents. But anyways, enough about me. So, you're Jerry Greenberg.
Who said you could call me Jerry? Just I'm messing with you.
So my first question, I want to start off with, do you know how to use Final Cut?
What kind of ridiculous, idiotic question is that? Of course I know how to use Final Cut. I'm still cutting motion pictures, you know? As an editor or a filmmaker, for that matter, you have to constantly evolve. You have to learn how to use new technology if you want to make it in the industry. And Final Cut is fairly easy to use compared to the old method of cutting film.
That leads me to my next question. What are your thoughts on film versus digital, and how does that affect the editing process?
Well, like I said, Final Cut is just easy to use than, say, CMX 600. Digital is far more user-friendly than film, and it's more accessible, not to mention cheaper. At this day and age, anyone can learn to work and edit in the digital era, even amateurs such as yourself.
I've heard often that editors are the unsung heroes of filmmaking. What are your thoughts on that statement?
Well, that's totally and utterly true, but I don't have a problem with it at all. I'm a low-profile individual and who doesn't want too much attention. That goes well with being a film editor. I can still go to the local grocery store and buy peanuts and don't worry about people recognizing me.
The French Connection. I'm sure you're probably tired of talking about it. You're very well known for your work on the French Connection. What I really want to ask you is about that chase scene, which is a very famous chase scene. How did that scene come together as far as the editing goes?
Well, Billy was very specific about his shot selection, but what it came down to was timing, which is true for all scenes. Every frame counts, and if it doesn't, it shouldn't be there. When I was cutting the chase scene, I remember seeing a lot of footage, and it all seemed pretty slow if I watched each take in its entirety. With precise editing, when you go from one shot to the next, you can make every shot paced vigorously fast.
Wow, that's something. That's something.
And those are my favorite scenes to cut, because you have so much to work with. But you must remember, audio is very important too, because audio sort of completes the picture. Now, if you had the same pitch for the accelerator in different shots, that would be awkward. How far the car is away from the camera is how far the sound should be. I know that sounds like common knowledge, but it's essential.
Do you think you could elaborate a little bit more on the sound?
No.
Moving on, still on the topic of French Connection, you won an Oscar for your work on that film very early in your career. How does it feel to win an Oscar, and do you feel as if maybe you reached your peak too early?
No, I didn't think that I reached my peak. Thanks for asking. Winning the Oscar is a tremendous honor, and it probably opened doors for me. And, personally, it doesn't change anything for me because I've always been confident in my work. It's nice to be recognized by others, but I think it's more important to believe in yourself. And I've always been a firm believer in myself and my amazing talents.
Well, either someone had a big breakfast or they're just a little bit full of themselves. Well, my next question.
No, this is your final question.
What?
This is your final question.
Right. Let's see here. Okay, here. In Final Cut, what's the difference between a slip and a slide? Because I keep mixing those two up, and I was wondering if maybe you can kind of help me out with that.
You don't know? Hell, Vince, why don't you take a course? You know, I got a piece of advice for you, pal. Give it up. You ain't nothing but a small population of these peasants who want to be filmmakers out there. I want to be a filmmaker, I want to be a filmmaker. Shut your mouth. That makes you think you're so special. Tell you what, you want to work in film, why don't you become a movie extra? Or work in craft service. So maybe you can become one of them hand continuity experts, huh? You want to be a film editor? You ain't got what it takes. Why don't you quit now till you're in your late 40s and still living with your mommy and daddy? Go fuck yourself. That's a wrap.
Gerald, you crazy son of a bitch.